Hi folks, Johnny here from EcoGeek Company. Just a very quick video to show you the importance of reviewing your hourly energy data from your buildings around COVID-19. A lot of us would have shut buildings down as most staff are now working from home. So what you've probably done is you might have spoken to your controls engineer or the people that operate your building management system, like your facilities team, and said, hey, let's put our buildings into holiday mode because no one's there. So let's shut them down to stop wasting energy and power, which has a big cost. But this is a little bit of a gift really to us because it's quite rare you get to shut buildings down for this long. And the data that can come out of the buildings can really tell a story and help you make huge savings going onwards. So I'm just going to show you how quickly to review your energy data and what sort of things you could be looking for and what it might mean. So often what you can do is go to your energy retailer and say, can I have my hourly energy data for the last month? So that way you've got a snapshot of what your building has been like in normal working time. You'll be able to see when your building went into holiday mode because you should see a drop or be able to have that date to hand when you guys change the building management system to ramp down. And then you'll also be able to see what's called the base load, and this is really important because it basically shows you what stuff is on in the building that's not controlled by your building management system, and what that might mean, because you might have a lot of appliances, devices, pumps, fans that are actually running irrespective of the building management system that has been costing you money the entire time. And this is where the tide has gone out, and you'll be able to see those things that are starting to show. So when you get your energy data, you'll pretty much get it like this, which is in hourly format. It will tell you how many kilowatts you're using during that hour, and some of it will tell you how much kVA you've been using as well. kVA is a good indicator of how much voltage inrush is occurring. But you're mostly going to focus on the kilowatts, how much power over time has been used. So here's an example of looking at a stream energy meter where we can interrogate some of the energy data. So each one of these is a day, and each little line is 1 hour of that day. So you can see here a typical daily peak where during midday the building is reaching up to 400 kilowatt hours, or 400 kilowatts every hour. And then it ramps down to what's called your base load, where these little shoulders are occurring. So that's your nighttime tick over loads. That might be some basic heating and cooling, still keeping the building dry and stable, or it could be your servers or lighting loads. It's that we're looking to explore here. So this is before COVID-19, and I believe on this particular site, a lot of buildings went into holiday mode at around this point here, Tuesday 24th, because they're being vacated. So then you can see that the energy use has started dropping down as the building management system has been told to put everything in holiday mode, which means loosening set points, not running certain heating and cooling patterns, which has reduced a lot of the fan use and heat pump use within the building. But what's funny here is that that's the BMS now has fully switched everything off, but we've still got this base load occurring. So it's really interesting because we've now just seen, well, what else is on in this building? You wouldn't expect a building to go to zero because there will be things like maybe some servers, some essential things such as lighting or backup systems running, but this is still quite a hefty load. So if we extract the data into Excel, you can have a little play with it and then start seeing on the graph what's going on. So here it seems that we're getting these shoulder loads that are a nighttime load, which is pretty high. We're looking at basically a nighttime load of 32 kilowatts every hour. So that's just the night peak. Then on top of that, we've got this peak which is still occurring even though all the plant systems are closed off, which is now reaching up to 80 kilowatts. So that's around yeah, 48 kilowatts on top of already what is a base load. So you see it's also coming in at a particular point of the day and then dropping off. So about 10 p.m. a load comes on at around 6:30 a.m., shoots up, stays pretty consistent all day, then starts dropping off at 9 p.m. and then drops off again at 10, and then towards midnight it goes back to this shoulder load, this nighttime base load. So something that tells us then that something is still working to a schedule. There's some equipment in this building that is still coming on regardless of the building management system saying not to. So that means we can then start having some direction on what we want to look at. And if you are able to still enable walkthroughs through the building, or you want to do a check before the building is reoccupied, this is a great bit of data to arm yourself with, because you can go around and say, right, what is causing this load? So a great place to visit is probably the fuse boards within the building, and taking note of any time clocks that are on there to see what manual time clocks are being programmed in that building, and are they responsible for this 48 kilowatt load on top of your base load. The next one is to then review what isn't connected to the BMS. Has the lighting been left on? Is that not part of your building management system? Are there plugged in heaters which could be still left in offices active? This kind of load of 32 kilowatts, yes, it could be a lot of freestanding computers that are still running that you don't want to switch off, but most of them are pretty energy efficient now, using 1 to 200 watts a piece. So it's likely there's more going on that's contributing to that load. So here I've just run some basic numbers to say, okay, in theory, let's say we found out what these phantom loads are that are occurring at night time and still switching on the day, even though our building's in holiday mode. And based on a commercial rate of power, which is quite cheap, we can see there's some pretty significant savings that can be occurred, so or access from actually finding these loads and switching them off, because you might find they're not needed at all, or you might find opportunity to reconnect them with the building management system to enable you to actually manual those off at night time, saving quite a bit of power. So here we've got a potential saving of 1920 kilowatts during the day. So overall, we potentially found for our building owners or for our organisation $110,000 that we can save every year if we found out what these loads were, identified them, and were able to control them. So potentially at the high end, there's $110,000 that is being burnt every day or every year for this particular building. So that's why it's great when we have this opportunity to see when what I call the tide goes out, and you can see the base loads that are exposed, and it gives you an opportunity then to drill down into them. So some of the things you can look at are, is there a lot of independent hot water cylinders that haven't been manualed off whilst your building is in hibernation mode? Are there any fans that are still operating that are not connected to the BMS? Is there any pumps or heavy inductive loads that are running off the fuse board from timers? That could be standalone air conditioning systems, or the plug-in heaters that have been left plugged in and active on several floors of the building. So this is where you'll walk through the old manual approach with a clipboard and pen will be great, because then you can see what loads are on, you know the sort of things you're going to be looking for, and you can find them, switch them off if it's safe to do so, and write them down to say, well, here's where it was. And then at the end of it, you might find out what actually was all these loads. You'll be able to review the data again to see what the drop is again, and you've then made some tangible savings that are recorded. Right now, this is a fantastic opportunity for any facility manager or energy manager to do this work, because it's not often you get this opportunity to do a hard shutdown on your buildings, which emerges all these interesting things that pop up. So yeah, just a bit of advice. So if you haven't need any help, just shout out to one of us, the Eco Geeks, and we can try and help you review your data or help find some of those savings for you. But yeah, this is just a simple thing you can do. If you can get your energy data, you might have access to your own meters, which makes it really easy to go and review. Or if you enter your building management system, you might have some electricity metering connected there that you can download data from as well. So a great time to work with your security staff to do a walkthrough or review if you can't get there or if you're not allowed to because of lockdown. Or a great walkthrough review that you can do when the lockdown has been lifted and you're allowed to return to your building and you allow yourself some space before the building starts to be reoccupied. And that way you can find these loads, knock them off, and then forevermore these loads won't be active if you don't need them, and you've just saved yourself or your employer $110,000 per year. So some friendly advice. Cheers guys, bye.